quite a treasure. Pedestrians can reach CTA stations, metro stations, City Hall, East Randolph buildings, and some hotels from several access points in the loop. They can avoid inclement weather and vehicular traffic. With 9,000 pedestrians traversing the space every day, we began to look at some opportunities to make it more than a pass-through to other loop destinations. So when E.B. Smith approached us with this idea, we thought it really could enhance the pedestrian experience. So I want to thank E.B. Smith and the Smith Museum. E.B. So in our partnership included the Chicago Cultural Mile, but we really couldn't have made this happen without support from City Hall. And standing behind me is Alderman, Alderman Bob Pierre. So thank you, Bob, for coming, Bob and Pierre. Alderman Riley from the 42nd Ward, who should be with us very shortly. But now I'd like to introduce Shireen Sarian who represents the Chicago Cultural Mile. Shireen?
One of the partners in presenting this world-class exhibition to Chicago. It is a collection, as you can see, of 22 American secular stained glass windows, and it really is just one more jewel in the crown of what is already an amazing cultural district. It's one of the most amazing cultural districts in the nation. So we're just absolutely thrilled to be here, and we now join cities like Tokyo and Taipei and Montreal and Moscow in having an underground, wonderful art installation for the public. So thank you.
So now I'd like to introduce you to E.B. Smith, who was the creator of this event, on this exhibit, as well as Chris Bodie, Roth Achilles, and Roland Lieber, who really put together what I think is an amazing display. E.B.?
Thank you, Shireen, and thank you all of our generous donors to this exhibit, many of whom are here this morning. This exhibit continues Chicago's long-time tradition of museum-quality public art in public spaces. Art that educates the public while bringing beauty to the public space. And while doing it, art that educates people, and that instead of insisting that the public come to a large museum building, the art itself is placed in a location where millions of people go already in their daily lives. Stained glass is a perfect medium for this. Not only is it tough, oh yes, it's glass, but it was meant to be out in rain, snow, sleet, and hail, so it doesn't need very careful humidity control as with so many museum masterpieces we know. But in addition, the stained glass is sophisticated because of its artistic history, and yet it is popular because since the 11th century, people have always loved stained glass. To explain this, I'm going to ask three people from the museum team each to tell you a little bit about what they contributed. Rolf Achilles for the description of the artistic importance, Roland Lieber for the challenge of creating a museum-quality exhibit in public space, and Chris Bodie, president of the Bodie Studio, which, by the way, traces its roots in 17th century Italy. I don't think Chris was around that long, but I know his family was. And the Bodie Studio both restored the glass and also was responsible for the exhibit. Each of them has promised to speak for no more than 2 minutes because the stained glass book is just outside. So first, Rolf, will you say a few words?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Evie, and thank you all for being here. It's a real privilege to participate in Macy's Pedway installation of the Smith Museum stained glass windows. It's important that you look closely at the windows because you're going to see abstraction from the 1880s, 1890s, a time when painters weren't doing this yet. They were still caught up in figurative work, especially in the United States and in Europe. And the windows that you see here are a type of window which the Europeans then copied from America. We always think of Americans copying everything from Europe, but no. Painting on glass is something Americans did, but they also just stained the glass and used the ornamentation in the glass. They added jewels, they added large chunks of glass, and we have superb examples of this type of work. We'll look at the jewels, the faceted jewels just cut like diamonds, and then the chunks of glass that are cast. This is uniquely American in the 1880s and 1890s. It's only around the late 1890s, 1900 that the Europeans start doing this, and then it's called Art Nouveau, and everybody gets excited. But in the US, we were doing it in advance. We have superb windows in this display, and they're of a world quality. They're internationally important individual windows, and I hope you look at them very closely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rolf. And now I'd like to ask Roland Lever to explain his vision of the exhibit and how it works in a public space.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming this morning. The new approach to having a presentation is using your iPad, moving iPad. One of the things about doing a presentation like this is people's reactions. And in the final installation, I had 2 people walk by and ask if there was a new fancy restaurant going to be open. But that speaks a little bit to the perception of art, and especially stained glass, how it's used in the past as background, but not necessarily as serious art. But I believe that's what's going on today. In fact, there are new artists in Europe, primarily, but also in the United States, that have taken this medium to another level. This is secular work, and what we're seeing as the advancement of it is a much higher level of modern work, which will start to come out, and the cultural perception of stained glass as art, not windows, is what the future is. The intent here was to make the background completely as minimalist and allow the art to stand on its own. And it allows you to come close to the edge. I believe it was Evie suggested a moment ago that you usually have to go to a gallery or to a pier or somewhere to see this kind of art. But here, it's become public. It's available to everyone, and it's available to everyone up close. I think this is the beginning of something, not the end of something. So I would hope that in the future that we will see more of this. The fact that art is seen in the Paris Metro, Moscow subway, it means that there's a relationship between works of art and the public. I think this is an extension of that. I hope everyone really appreciates it. Thanks.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you for your help in putting this all together. Finally, I'd like to ask Chris Bodie, president of the Bodie Studio, to tell us about restoration and installation.
He asked me to speak on the challenges, of this museum, this exhibition gallery we have here. And I thought to myself, what were they? And I thought, really none. And I thought to myself, well, why? I thought, well, people like Roland Fioretti, E.B. Smith, Macy's, Roland Lieber, the architect of the Pedway Museum here, Michael Tropin, Ralph Achilles. All these people contributed their expertise to what we're seeing here. And the staff of Macy's, the electricians, David Kins, Macy's, itself all bring you what you're looking at here, the beauty of the art, and the original artists and craftspeople. We just became more of the puppets, implementing what they wanted, and finally, thanks to Mr. Smith's vision here and also at Navy Pier, what he produced for the city of Chicago, we're all able to enjoy this as well as our children, the future generations, and the values that they emulate through art that we see here. So thanks very much.
Thank you. So, before we go to questions and answers, I'd just like to again thank our partners in the city for helping us get this done. This is public space, owned by Macy's, but it's public space. And so I want to ask Alderman, I'm going to get Bob, be ready to come forward and give some remarks. Bob helped us with the Chicago Living Lights art program as well. And so he's very familiar with public art and what it means to our city. So thank you, Bob.
Thank you. I do want to say, 16 years ago, I went to Bodie Studios because my transom over my doorway in the house that I was building needed stained glass. And at that time, your studios prepared the stained glass that's over at my transom. So that's a full disclosure right there. It's still there now, and if I ever move, I'm taking it with me. I'm going to tell you that. Secondly, public art is really what brings vibrancy to communities. And many of you know I've had it on buildings, under viaducts, wherever we can find it. This Pedway, and I was telling Ralph earlier, you go from one end to the other and you just want to run. Now, I think people are going to get to work awfully late as they admire each and every one of these pieces of works of art. To the people at the Cultural Mile for helping bring this, for Macy's for making this a lively area. And I think when we look at it, public art really helps what the city is all about, no matter where you live, what end of the part of the city you want to come and see the public art. I think yesterday's Tribune had a piece on public art, and I think they were maybe a little day too early to see what this was all about. And if they would see this, I think people are going to be invigorated. And this is what enhances the beauty of this city, because we are a global city, and Shereen named off all the other cities of the Pedways. And I got to tell you, I've been in a few of them, and I've never been down in the Pedways. And now, when I go back to some of those cities, I'm going to see if they rival what E.B. Smith and the museum has brought down to Macy's Pedway here. And I want to thank everybody for this exhibit. Thank you.